Night settles over the Arizona desert like a slow-falling curtain, turning the world blue, then violet, then almost black. Crickets chirp in the dry brush beyond the wire fence. A warm wind drifts across the sand, carrying the faint smell of dust and machine oil from the guard tower. And in that wind stand 23 exhausted Japanese prisoners, their shadows stretching long behind them under the yellow lamps. Most of the men are barely more than silhouettes. Thin, sunken, uniforms stiff with dried sweat, but their eyes shine, not with hope, not with anger, with fear. A quiet, disciplined, bone-deep fear born from the months of propaganda drilled into them. Americans torture their captives. Americans kill slowly. Americans know no honor. Private Shigeru Tanaka clutches his haversack, though there is nothing inside it except a broken pencil and a strip of cloth that once wrapped his mother's rice balls. His fingers tremble so hard it clicks softly against the canvas. The sound embarrasses him. He hides his hand behind his leg, jaw tight. The camp gates open with a metallic groan. A slow breath ripples through the prisoners. Some swallow. One murmurs a prayer. Tanaka's heart thuds so loudly he thinks the guards must hear it. "We are stepping into the enemy's nest," he tells himself. "Be still, show no weakness." Inside the compound, lights glow warmly from a long wooden structure. Voices drift out, American voices, laughter, calm, almost lazy. This unsettles the prisoners more than shouting ever could. A guard walks past them, boots crunching on gravel. He doesn't even look angry. He just says, "All right, fellas, you're safe here. We'll get you fed in a minute." Safe? The word stings like an insult. Propaganda never prepared them for such casual civility. Tanaka glances at the others. Their expressions mirror his own, tight confusion, brittle nerves. Some blink rapidly as if trying to reconcile two clashing realities. He steps forward, the desert air heavy with the unknown. Every sound echoes sharply. The clang of the gate closing behind them. The soft drone of a generator. The faint sizzling of something cooking inside the mess hall. He inhales. Meat, real meat. His knees nearly buckle. Something is wrong, terribly, impossibly wrong. The journey to the camp begins at dawn, when the sky is still pale and the world feels half-formed. The prisoners are herded onto the back of a military truck. Nothing cruel, nothing rough, just a firm gesture and the words, "Hop in." Yet even that confuses them. Kindness feels like a trick. Tanaka climbs onto the wooden bed of the vehicle, each plank warm from the night's heat, smelling faintly of sun-baked pine. The engine rumbles to life. With every mile, the landscape widens. Flat desert, endless horizon, a strange sense of openness that frightens men who grew up between mountains and sea. Dust rises in soft plumes behind them, curling like smoke from a battlefield. The sun climbs higher, bright enough to sting their eyes. None of the prisoners speak. Their throats are too tight, their minds too loud. Tanaka recalls the words their officers once shouted, "Better to die than fall into American hands. They will peel the skin from your bones. They will feed you only enough to keep you alive for torture." Yet the guards riding beside them chew gum, tap their fingers on their rifles, and chat about baseball as if the world is not at war. Their voices flow gently over the wind. Strange, rhythmic English that feels almost musical despite its foreign cadence. Tanaka's stomach growls. Not from fear, true hunger. He hasn't eaten a full meal in weeks. His body feels hollow like a drum. A guard glances over, hears the sound, and reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a small wrapped object. A candy bar. He offers it openly. Tanaka freezes. His pulse spikes. This must be poison, he thinks. Some American trick. His fingers grip the side of the truck so tightly splinters cut his palm. But the guard shrugs, unwraps a second one for himself, takes a bite, and says through a mouthful of chocolate, "It's just food, pal. Go on." The sweetness in the air drifts toward Tanaka. His stomach twists, desperate, but he lowers his eyes, refusing. He cannot betray the stories he was raised on. The truck keeps rolling across the vast desert. Each mile chips away at something inside him. Certainty, fear, and the world he thought he understood. By the time the truck rolls to a stop, the sun hangs straight overhead, bleaching the desert into a pale, trembling gold. Heat rises off the ground in wavering sheets. The prisoners climb down slowly, legs stiff, mouths dry, minds bracing for the cruelty they've been promised all their lives. A gate opens with a soft creak. But what waits behind it is not a dungeon, not a pit, not chains. It has been quiet, neat rows of wooden barracks. Laundry fluttering gently on a line. A small garden someone has tended with care. green leaves trembling in the breeze. Tanaka stares, throat tightening. This cannot be the enemy's prison. It looks more like a village. A strange foreign village, but peaceful. A guard waves them forward. Mess hall's this way. You're getting lunch. Lunch? The word hits them like a slap. Inside the building, light spills through wide windows. The smell strikes first, thick, warm, rich. Meat sizzling. Bread toasting. Something tangy and sweet floating in the air. Tanaka's knees weaken. The men around him stop breathing for a moment. On a long steel counter sit trays piled with food. Thick patties of beef, steaming buns, crisp lettuce, slices of tomato glowing like rubies. And beside them, glass bottles filled with dark, sparkling liquid. A soldier gestures. Grab a tray. Eat as much as you want. Eat as much as you want. Their entire bodies go still. Not from joy, but fear. This is the moment, they think. This is where the poison is hidden. But then one guard, casual, almost bored, pops the cap off a bottle, takes a swig, sighs contentedly, and sets it down again. It's Coca-Cola, he says. Just a drink. Just a drink. Tanaka steps forward without meaning to. The bottle is cold when he touches it. His fingers tremble. He lifts it, hesitates, brings it closer. The fizz whispers against the glass like something alive. He takes a sip. Sweetness explodes across his tongue, sharp, icy, so foreign it feels like stepping into another world. The shock is too much. His breath breaks. A small, choked sound escapes him. A sound dangerously close to a sob. This, he thinks, is the most frightening thing of all. Kindness. The days that follow unfold like a series of quiet blows, soft, gentle, and devastating in their own way. Every morning, the prisoners wake expecting the illusion to break, expecting punishment, expecting the mask to fall, but nothing changes. The sun rises, guards drink coffee, someone plays a radio near the fence, swing, music drifting through the air like something absurdly cheerful. Tanaka cannot understand any of it. The meals alone feel like an assault. Thick slices of bread, butter so soft it melts instantly on his tongue, sausages that snap when bitten, bowls of bright orange fruit they have never seen before, peaches from a can, syrup clinging to their fingers. One morning, a guard sets down a tray piled high and says with a shrug, "Kitchen made too much again. Help yourselves." Too much. The concept feels obscene. Tanaka thinks of home. Ration cards, empty rice jars, mothers pretending they aren't hungry so their children can eat. He remembers his own mother scraping burnt grains from the bottom of a pot, whispering apologies she never owed. Here, food is a background detail, an afterthought. The contrast gnaws at him. Some prisoners whisper at night, voices cracking under the weight of guilt. How can we eat like this? While our families, one man stops mid-sentence, pressing the heel of his hand hard against his eyes. Yet the Americans show them the smallest, strangest dignities, clean clothes, soap that smells faintly of flowers, medical care for wounds they expected to fester. A young soldier even helps Tanaka bandage a cut, humming as he works, as if tending to an enemy is the most ordinary thing in the world. The kindness terrifies them more than brutality ever could. Because brutality fits the stories, kindness destroys them. Some evenings, guards sit outside the fence, talking about home, wives, baseball scores, plans for after the war. Laughter echoes across the compound, reaching the prisoners like a memory from a different universe. Tanaka listens with a hollow ache. He realizes something dangerous, something he cannot admit aloud. The enemy is human, warm, ordinary, and that simple truth shakes the foundations of everything he was taught to believe. The deeper conflict begins quietly, so quietly that Tanaka doesn't notice it at first. It arrives not with a shout, but with a letter. The Red Cross distributes mail one evening, calling names that sound strange in the dry desert air. When Tanaka hears his own, his heart stumbles. The envelope is thin, worn, smudged with fingerprints from hands he knows too well. He opens it slowly. His mother's handwriting trembles across the page. Your brother is thin. Food is scarce. We boil vegetables 3 times to make them last. But we pray for you every night. Stay alive. There is no anger, no shame, just a quiet desperation that drags him back across the ocean. Tanaka folds the letter with shaking hands. His chest tightens until he feels he might break. Minutes later, a bell rings. Dinner time. The prisoners file into the mess hall. On the counter waits another feast. Thick meatloaf, mashed potatoes, a river of gravy, and baskets of warm rolls. He cannot bring himself to touch the food. Around him, others face the same torment. Hiroshi, usually the strongest among them, sits rigid, hands clenched into fists. "My family is starving," he whispers. "And I am full." Another man says nothing at all, just presses his forehead to the table, shoulders shaking silently. Propaganda never warned them about this. They were prepared for pain. They were prepared for violence. They were prepared to die. They were not prepared to be fed, to be treated gently, to be respected, to be given comfort their own people no longer had. At night, Tanaka writes in his diary, thin pages, blunt pencil, cramped letters. "The greatest cruelty is kindness. If they beat us, we could remain loyal. But this makes us question everything." He hears laughter outside. Again, American guards trading. Jokes under the moonlight. Their silhouettes sway casually as they talk about the future. A future they believe they will live to see. Tanaka lies awake, staring at the ceiling. Who is he now? A soldier? A prisoner? A son who eats while his family starves? Identity fractures quietly inside him, splintering with every soft act of mercy. The announcement comes on a cool morning, when the desert wind carries the scent of distant rain, rare, almost mythical. The prisoners stand in formation, unsure why they've been gathered. Some think this is the moment punishment finally arrives. Others imagine transfer. Uncertainty hangs over them like dust in sunlight. An American officer steps forward, papers in hand. His voice is calm, almost gentle. "Gentlemen, the war is over. Japan has surrendered. You will all be going home." The words strike like lightning. For a long moment, no one breathes. The world seems to tilt. Surrender, home. Two ideas that feel impossible to hold. At the same time, Tanaka feels heat rise behind his eyes. Not relief, not joy, but something heavier, something tangled and raw. A man beside him collapses to his knees, not out of weakness, out of the unbearable weight of being given back a life he had already mourned. Back in the barracks, Tanaka sits on his cot, staring at his hands. For months they have held American food, American soap, American kindness. Now they tremble again, but for a different reason. Home. What will he be now? Returning with stories no one will believe. Who will he be? Knowing the enemy he feared fed him more generously than his own empire ever did. He finds his diary and writes slowly, carefully. "I do not know how to carry this truth back across the sea." Outside, guards shake hands with prisoners. Some offer cigarettes, others simply nod. A quiet farewell between men who once imagined killing each other. Tanaka steps toward the gate, the desert stretching out before him like a new, uncertain life. He turns once, just once, to look at the camp. The mess hall windows reflect the rising sun, the same place where he first tasted Coca-Cola, the cold sweetness exploding like a revelation. The same place where a hamburger, simple, warm, human, brought him to the edge of tears. He whispers to the wind, a confession no one will hear. "Your kindness changed me." Then he walks forward, the gate closing softly behind him. The world feels strange, wide, painful and beautiful all at once, and he carries with him a truth that will haunt him for the rest of his life. Humanity, not hatred, is what finally broke him.